Lu Heng traveled through the world of martial arts and was sent by his family to become a laborer in the Wudang sect. He thought he would live a mediocre life, but he also awakened his full-level understanding system. As long as you study seriously, observe, listen to the teachings, practice martial arts, and engage in combat and sparring, you can all reap rewards. Listen carefully to the teacher's teachings, trigger full-level comprehension, and comprehend the beginner's mind method of perfection. Listen carefully to Mo Xinggu's teachings on boxing, trigger full-level comprehension, and comprehend the perfect Wudang boxing techniques. Carefully look through the secret script of the Taoist collection, stimulate full-level understanding, and understand to complete the Nine Yin Manual. Carefully observe and practice martial arts swordsmanship, trigger full-level comprehension, and fully comprehend Wudang swordsmanship. Watch Wudang's martial arts performances carefully, trigger full-level comprehension, and fully comprehend the pure yang infinity. Seriously sparring martial arts skills with peers, triggering full-level comprehension. A few years later, Zhang Sanfeng returned to Wudang from overseas and began the Heavenly Sword Dragon slaying drama. Lu Heng had already entered the field of martial arts and emerged as a remarkable talent. Fist shakes the martial world, sword kills Yuan Meng, acts chivalrous and righteous, carefree and joyful, until martial arts shatter the void. Relying on heaven is just the beginning, and there are other worlds. Old writer, holding stable updates for saved manuscripts. Keywords of the novel. Wudang Sweeping Dungeon Boy, awakening at full level with no pop-ups. Wudang Sweeping Dungeon Boy, awakening at full level with understanding. Download the complete set of TXT, Wudang Sweeping Dungeon Boy, awakening at full level with understanding at the beginning. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Awakening at the beginning of the game and reaching the full level of comprehension, seeking recommendation and collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Awakening at the beginning of the game and reaching the full level of comprehension, seeking recommendation and collection. Wudang Mountain, in front of the workers' hall. Lu Heng was awkwardly holding a broom and was stopped by some external disciples on his way. Junior brother Lu, if you don't work honestly, do you deserve your parents sending you to Wudang to seek enlightenment? Senior brother, don't blame me. Senior brother Heng is still a young man, don't be so fierce. Master uncle teaches us to have love and protection between our senior brothers. Looking at the tall figure protected in front of him, Lu Heng felt very uncomfortable. He has traveled through time. Unexpectedly, it is the world of martial arts and the Wudang sect, known for its prestigious and upright sections. Unfortunately, due to his low aptitude, he was unable to apprentice to those great heroes. He voluntarily applied to take care of the disabled Yu Daiyan and became a floor sweeper to remove dust. Senior brother Gao, junior brother Lu is not familiar with the rules of Wudang yet. In front of me this time, please forgive him for his sneak peek drill behavior. Even if we report it to Director Lu, we will still be branded as bullying our fellow disciples. It's not worth it. Okay, I'll give senior brother Song some face, but it won't happen again. Senior brother Gao, with the surname Gao Weiming, is a sharp and harsh person. He appears to be a humble gentleman on the surface, but behind the scenes, he often embarrasses these fellow disciples. And the so-called senior brother Song is the son of Song Yuanqiao, Song Qingshu. Lu Heng is somewhat complex, and it has to be said that the current Song Qingshu has not yet been blackened out. He received a good education in Wudang and can truly be regarded as an outstanding role model among the 3 generations of disciples. Brother Lu, don't be fooled. Go take care of third martial uncle. No matter who you are in Wudang, you need to work as a laborer for 3 years before you can get the arrangements of the master martial uncles. Although it's just ordinary work, if you work seriously, you can still beat your bones and muscles. Song Qingshu smiled and patted the ash on Lu Heng's body, then turned his head and left. Lu Heng felt a bit disheartened. Seeing others looking at him, why is he so unproductive? Returning to Yu Daiyan's room, he struggled to lift him up. Lu Heng poured him a cup of tea and brought it to his mouth. "Master, drink tea." Yu Daiyan opened his unfocused eyes, lifeless, swallowing the water like a puppet. "Master, I'll take you outside to bask in the sun. Let's have a chat." "It's Lu Heng. I've been taking care of you as a teacher for 2 years. You're very obedient and sensible. Master, I'll make an exception and tell you about the way of Wudang today." Okay. Although Lu Heng had some sympathy in his heart, he couldn't show it to the patient. He had been paralyzed for several years, and his life had become dim. Fortunately, he was kind and didn't vent his anger on anyone. The matter of taking care of the patient was also voluntarily applied for by Lu Heng. Although he was just a young Taoist, his reputation was here, and other fellow disciples dared not bully him excessively. The Tao of Wudang is called Tai Chi. My master Zhang Zhenwu once understood the Tao and passed it on to our Taoist sect Shu, which is regarded as Tai Chi giving birth to the 2 the 2 giving birth to the 4 elephants, and the 4 elephants performing the 8 trigrams. Yu Daiyan's words chattered incessantly. At this moment, Lu Heng was already stunned. A mechanical electronic synthesis sound emanates from the mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host for awakening the full-level understanding system. Listen carefully to Yu Daiyan's teachings, understand the beginner's mind techniques of Wudang, and automatically deduce to perfection. Increase maximum internal power by 10 years. An internal force is generated out of thin air. Irrigate the limbs and 8 veins, and stop swimming in Dantian for a week. At this moment, Yu Daiyan had already fallen asleep. Lu Heng was really excited, ignoring his master's presence. He quickly covered Yu Daiyan with a blanket and ran back to the room to meditate. After running for a week, he felt happy. "System, what functions do you have? Can you tell me?" Ding! As long as the host takes things seriously, whether it's studying, observing, listening to the Tao, practicing, fighting, or sparring, they can stimulate their full level of understanding, transform it into their own martial arts and skills. The system can help the host deduce to perfection and perfection. Practicing internal skills and mental methods can increase a certain amount of internal strength. Ding! System prompt. Other functions require the host to explore on their own. Lu Hengchang let out a sigh of relief. That's it. With a full level of intelligence, he has enough self-protection ability to avoid being bullied. Although it is only an entry-level mental technique in Wudang, it is also a stepping stone for Wudang. Only when the entry-level mental technique reaches a perfect level can one apply to continue practicing other martial arts. After 2 years in Wudang Mountain, Lu Heng is very familiar with it. Thinking of this, Lu Heng also carefully thought about some things. Every morning and evening, the 7 heroes of Wudang take turns preaching, practicing martial arts, and teaching swordsmanship. They can be allowed to listen to the teachings of the miscellaneous disciples. If time permits later, Lu Heng plans to go outside the Zhenwu Hall. Today should be his turn to practice martial arts in Mo Xing Valley. "Lu Heng, please take me back to my room." Interrupted from his thoughts, Lu Heng responded and sent Yu Daiyan's cart back into the room before leaving. Returning to the residence of the miscellaneous disciples, a group of miscellaneous workers sighed and sighed. After 3 years of miscellaneous work, they could officially become apprentices and learn Taoism. For someone like Lu Heng to join a useless sect, other miscellaneous workers were unwilling to do so. When Lu Heng returned, no one paid attention to him. "I have long been accustomed to being alone and going back and forth, but I would rather be drunk and wake up alone." Lu Heng hummed a tune, took a broom and a cloth, turned around and walked away, regardless of how the other servants treated him. After all, he couldn't say he wouldn't be the same person in the future. In the evening, the miscellaneous disciples and inner disciples gathered outside the Zhenwu Hall. Unable to approach, Lu Heng could only observe from a distance. He stood alone in the corner, ignoring being excluded and isolated. He carefully discerned Mo Xingu's explanation of Wudang's introductory martial arts, the 32-style long fist, and Wudang's martial arts. Originally, listening to these was like listening to heavenly books, but now it is particularly important. Focused on listening attentively, in Lu Heng's mind, only the figure of Mo Xingu and the elements of Wudang Changquan's attack and defense were present. You carefully observe Mo Xingvali's teaching of martial arts, stimulate your full-level understanding, learn Wudang long fist, and automatically deduce it to perfection. You carefully discern the teachings of Mo Xingu, stimulate full-level understanding, comprehend the four symbols killing fist, and automatically deduce to perfection. Note: the four-elephant killing fist is a self-created technique by the host. This boxing technique only focuses on attack, without defense, and emphasizes using attack instead of defense. Lu Heng closed his eyes and woke up instantly, dispelling the influence in his mind. Is the four elephants killing fist? Lu Heng smiled, using attack instead of defense, never defending. What he wanted was an unstoppable momentum. After deduction, the perfect four-elephant killing fist had no flaws, and even if it was just a starting move, it could evolve into 16 different forms. Brothers, look at Lu Heng. The lecture has ended and he still stands there like a fool. Don't pay attention to him. Why don't we go to the back mountain to catch 2 rabbits and grill them to eat? We'll stay at the Taoist temple every day eating those vegetarian dishes, and birds will fade out of our mouths long ago. Senior brother is absolutely right. Let's ignore that little fool and don't offend senior brother song. The voice gradually drifted away from me. Lu Heng regained his senses and laughed at himself, but he didn't care so much. Anyway, he is just a tunnel sweeper, staying safely in Wudang Mountain is just a bit tough. Now that he has comprehended martial arts techniques, he will not stand out for anyone. Are you Lu Heng? I heard from senior brother San that in another year, you can officially leave the miscellaneous disciples. Do you have any ideas about who to apprentice to? Just a few steps away, I was stopped by Mo Xingu. Lu Heng quickly pondered in his mind, and after a while, he spread out his hand and smiled, saying, "Thank you very much, Uncle Seven, for your mercy. However, Master has treated me extremely well. I am willing to stay under Master's tutelage and not change my allegiance to others. After all, being a teacher for a day and a father for a lifetime, Uncle Seven understands." Well, you're great. Third senior brother didn't misjudge anyone. Qualification doesn't represent everything, diligence can make up for weakness. If someone bullies you in the future, come to my residence and find me. Go. To be continued. The old author has opened a new pit and is seeking a collection recommendation ticket. If you have any questions, you can leave comments in the discussion group. Thank you. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. The Scripture Hall gathers Taoist scriptures and comprehends the Nine Yin Manual. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Sutra Hall Taoist Collection, Understanding the Nine Yin Manual, Seeking Collection Recommendation. Lu Heng thought he had been recognized by Mo Xingu for learning internal skills, but he didn't expect it to be just a compliment. Could it be that after taking care of Yu Dai Yen, he was asked by Mo Xingu to visit his master? Anyway, the phrase, Mo Xingu, is sufficient. No one knows that the 7 heroes of Wudang are unparalleled in benevolence and righteousness, enjoying a chivalrous reputation in the martial arts world. As Zhang Sanfeng's close-door disciple, he also has a lot of personality. As for the other Wudang's 7 heroes, Lu Heng has not yet gained sufficient knowledge, and he has not seen Zhang Sanfeng in the past 2 years of joining Wudang. I heard that his elderly family, due to the disappearance of Zhang Wuxiao, resigned as the leader and handed it over to Song Yuanqiao. He himself remained secluded and did not emerge. When Mo Xingu teaches martial arts and preaching, he can also gain a full level of understanding. It's really not worth poking. Lu Heng ate too mantua a little, but he was also somewhat helpless. It took 3 years of chores to join Wudang normally, and then he could officially become an external disciple. If he was valued by the 7 xias of Wudang, he could become an internal disciple. The Wudang sect of Noada, including the inner and outer sects, has a total of less than 200 people. Unlike Shaolin Temple, which has various industries, lay disciples, and believers to support. Wudang sect was successfully founded by Zhang Sanfeng 30 years ago, and after a period of polishing, it has gained its current reputation. However, my family has to say that Wudang's background is not high, and it is only slightly stronger than Ame. My disciples live an equally difficult life. Only after reaching adulthood can one go down the mountain for training. For Lu Heng, this is still far away. Lying in a corner of the Datong shop, Lu Heng fell asleep. The next day, the rooster crowed early and Lu Heng came to the lotus pond to clean up the mud. An old turtle slowly crawled out. Attract Lu Heng's gaze. I saw the turtle breathing heavily, exhaling and inhaling very slowly, as if a thunderbolt had appeared in Lu Heng's mind. I even forgot the work in my hand. You carefully watch the turtle's breathing breath, stimulate full-level understanding, comprehend the Xuanwu turtle breathing technique, and automatically deduce it successfully. Increase the maximum internal power by 20 years. Note: the Xuanwu turtle breathing technique can conceal one's own strength, and can feign death to evade investigation. In critical moments, one can use the technique to maintain life without eating or drinking for several months. It is a top-notch Taoist authentic Xianmen health preservation technique. Lu Heng was clear-headed and almost called out. This Xuanwu turtle breathing technique came at an opportune time. If it weren't for being discovered by his fellow disciples that he had not formally learned internal skills, he would have been punished by the sect rules, whether it was him or Yu Daiyan. Using this technique can prevent detection by others. Last night, Mo Xinggu almost discovered his secret, and Lu Heng couldn't help but plan for himself. After cleaning the lotus pond, Lu Heng went to the study and had a meal. He then went to the scripture hall to wipe off the dust on the scriptures. In addition to Taoist teachings, these scriptures also contain some Jianhu news collected by the Wudang sect. Although their martial arts and techniques may not be as orthodox as Wudang, they can be learned by analogy. Some scriptures can be transcribed by oneself, but they cannot be taken out of the scripture hall. Lu Heng, you haven't come yet. The old Taoist has left some osmanthus cakes for you. Let's have some and go to work later. It's not too late. A white-haired and amiable old Taoist. This is his own family. I sent him to Wudang Mountain to seek enlightenment because of this person. Grandpa Lu, I'm not hungry. You can eat. Good child, no one is bullying you, right? If those naughty monkeys dare to touch my Lu family, I will invite Zhang Zhenren to make the decision for you. Unfortunately, your parents don't value you. Don't hate them. Lu Heng smiled bitterly and shook his head, saying, of course I wouldn't do such a thing. Without saying these things, I'll go wipe the scriptures first. Don't worry about reminiscing about the past. Previously, he had also browsed through some Taoist scriptures, but could not grasp the true meaning behind them. The vast academic scope of Taoism was like smoke, and it was beyond his comprehension. Bring an unnamed Taoist scripture. Lu Heng first used a dry handkerchief, skimmed off the floating dust, opened the front page, and after flipping through it, he forgot the time. Until after a cup of tea. My mind exploded like thunder. You carefully read the Taoist secret record, stimulate full-level understanding, understand the Nine Yin Manual, and automatically deduce it successfully. The maximum internal power has been increased by 30 years. Note: this Tao is hidden by Huang Shang and does not include the 9 Yin martial arts skills. Only pure Taoist internal skills can heal injuries, making it one of the top lost martial arts in the world. Rough. I won the big prize. Surprisingly, it is a Taoist treasure recorded by Huang Shang. Isn't it lost? How could it be collected in Wudang? Could it be that Master Zhang Sanfeng brought it from elsewhere? In any case, the Nine Yin Manual is a unique Taoist martial art, which was once sought after by the Five Wonders. Force oneself to bring inner peace. Lu Heng sat cross-legged in place, feeling refreshed after a week of practicing martial arts. System, open my personal attributes. Host. Lu Heng, realm. The pinnacle of top-notch martial arts in the world, skill. 1 Jia Z, skills. Wudang beginner level mind skill, Xuanwu turtle breathing skill, the Nine Yin Manual, fist technique. Wudang long fist, for elephant kill fist. After standing up, Lu Heng found that his originally thin and weak self had become stronger, and the Taoist robe on his body was already a bit tight, not fitting well. After returning the Taoist secret book in its original location, Lu Heng continued to wipe other classics, but did not trigger a full level of enlightenment. Grandpa Lu, I'm leaving now. I should go take care of my master and come to see you another day. The scripture hall is divided into 3 levels. On the first floor, there are ordinary Taoist scriptures that can be viewed freely. On the second layer, there are some martial arts and martial arts techniques in the martial arts world, which need to reach the level of an external disciple before one can choose one as a reference for cultivation. The third level is under the rotating supervision of our sect elders. Non-inner disciples are not allowed to enter without permission. Mild cases may result in the abolition of martial arts skills, while severe cases may result in expulsion from the sect. It is not as easy to approach as the first level. Lu Heng is relaxed all over. The Nine Yin Manual at least endows him with powerful internal skill accomplishments. As a perfect realm, he can learn everything quickly in the future. After 1 year, he can be regarded as crossing the outer door and entering the inner door directly. If Yu Daiyan had not been disabled, he would not have been given such an opportunity. Master, I'll help you get up and have some tea. Can you tell me more about Master Tai's deeds later? Lu Heng deftly lifted Yu Daiyan and asked him to lean against the back of the chair, offering tea and snacks. Yu Daiyan was confused and often remained silent, only showing an excited expression when he heard Zhang Sanfeng. This can also be considered as a way that Lu Heng discovered to stimulate Yu Daiyan's survival. It's Lu Heng. Yesterday, Mo Xinggu came to me and wanted you to join his sect. Since you don't want to leave, as a teacher, you can't be idle. From now on, you can go find the other 5 martial uncles and uncles to learn with your inner disciples. Are you willing? Surprisingly. But within reason. After enduring for 2 years, I finally managed to get through this sentence. Lu Heng needs an identity to listen to these masters preaching and eavesdropping. After all, it is not so polite, and even if caught, he will be punished. I'm willing, but don't worry, master. If I succeed in my studies, I won't forget the kindness that master has shown me today. You are a well-behaved child and also a disciple who was taken in by me, a useless person. Although you have not yet formally become a disciple, you can go to the inner hall later and bring a disciple's outfit and sword. You don't need to live in the mixed labor residence. Move to my side. Yu Daiyan gestured for Lu Heng to take a letter from under his pillow, with the words, personally opened by Yu Lianzhou, written on it. This was a letter he had previously had someone copy. It can be considered as a stepping stone to invite him to officially become a Wudang disciple in advance. Thank you very much, master. Push me outside to bask in the sun. If you have anything you don't understand, you can come back and ask me. To be continued. Recommend a friend's new book and work, Slaying the Gods at the Beginning, Discovering the Existence of Demons in the World, end of this chapter. Chapter 3. Yu Lianzhou wants to dig the foot of a wall, perfecting the 13 swords of the Divine Gate. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Yu Lianzhou wants to dig at the foot of a wall, perfecting the 13 swords of the Divine Gate, seeking collection. Yu Daiyan waved his hand and instructed Lu Heng to go directly to the inner hall to search for the second master, Yu Lianzhou. The inner hall is equivalent to the logistics manager of Wudang Mountain. Apart from Master Basong Yuanqiao, who is in charge, the other second-generation disciples have also achieved great success and are renowned in the martial arts world. Take the recommendation letter. Lu Heng held his head high and walked to the inner hall, passing by some disciples of the inner sect, feeling surprised. Most of them looked at him with a skeptical gaze. What are you doing? You should be a miscellaneous disciple. This is not a place where you can come. Sorry, senior brother. My master is Yu Daiyan. He recommended me to look for second senior uncle. Here is my recommendation letter. Although Lu Heng possesses the qualifications of a martial arts expert, but it cannot be revealed proactively to avoid being unable to withstand scrutiny. Anyway, he is not the kind of person who likes to show off. Although most of the inner disciples are ordinary, they have about 20 years of martial arts skills, and not everyone can easily provoke them. Originally, he was the disciple of third senior uncle who entered the room. Junior brother, don't blame him. Master has already informed us today, please follow me. Thank you very much, senior brother. Lu Heng followed the receiving disciples into the back hall area of the inner hall. A middle-aged Taoist is practicing swordsmanship. The inner disciple who was leading the way quickly stopped him and whispered, Master is practicing swordsmanship. He doesn't like others to disturb him. Let's wait for a while. Lu Heng had no time to reply. Lianzhou is practicing martial arts, this is a good opportunity. Although it was unclear what kind of swordsmanship was being practiced, in his view, there were some omissions and weaknesses. You carefully watch Lianzhou's martial arts performance, understand the 13 swords of the Divine Gate, and automatically deduce them successfully. Open your eyes, for a moment. Lu Heng seemed to have the gaze of a peerless swordsman, startling Lianzhou who was practicing martial arts. He looked straight at himself. Who are you? I wonder if you shouldn't disturb my cultivation. Master, this is junior brother Lu Heng, who is the incoming disciple of third martial uncle. Today, he came to the inner hall to register and officially serve as an inner disciple. Please don't take it amiss, master. Junior brother Lu doesn't know your rules. Disciple Lu Heng, I have met second senior uncle. Lu Heng didn't argue, just looked at Lianzhou with a calm gaze. This person's intelligence is not 1/10 that of him. Although diligence can make up for clumsiness, except for Song Yuanqiao and Zhang Sanfeng, the other 5 heroes in Wudang's 7 heroes seem to be used to make up for the number. You have such sharp eyes, you are a good student of swordsmanship. Come on, the look you just gave me was very interesting. Do you understand what I am practicing? Lu Henggang wanted to refuse, but also considered that he should show some abilities, at least not let others easily humiliate him. The opportunity to stand out is right in front of us. You should know that becoming an inner disciple also requires competition, obtaining cultivation resources and status. This opportunity is quite rare. Lu Heng arched his hand and said, Master, I haven't learned swordsmanship before. I can only imitate Master by 10%. If something is wrong, don't laugh at me. Then he drew a sword from the inner disciples around him. Close your eyes and start practicing the newly learned perfect level swordsmanship. At first, it was indeed a bit unconventional. Lianzhou was already full of energy, but then he saw that the other moves were more rounded and skillful than his, as if the true 13 swords of the Divine Gate should be used in this way. After a series of combos, Lianzhou, with his vision of learning swordsmanship for over 20 years, couldn't pick out any mistakes or omissions. Genius, definitely a genius. You just looked at it once and actually made up for some of the weaknesses in this sword technique. What's your name? Who's your disciple? Would you be willing to worship me as your teacher? The inner disciple standing beside me was dumbfounded. When looking at Lu Heng, there was a hint of admiration in his eyes. Master, he is the incoming disciple that Uncle San is about to accept. Today, he is reporting to our inner sect. Here is his recommendation letter. Did you speak yet? Speak up. Lianzhou was a bit angry, and he didn't know it. He was just happy to see the prey and planned to pry into the corner of his junior brother's wall. Unfortunately, I was interrupted by such a mistake and had a good opportunity. Second senior uncle, disciple Lu Heng, also knows that there can only be one master, and is unwilling to change someone else's sect. Your kind disciple is grateful. Senior brother, thank you very much for borrowing my sword. Seeing him return his sword and say so, Lianzhou suddenly laughed. The 13 swords of the divine sect are a secret that is not passed down in our sect. Only 3 generations of disciples with excellent qualifications can be taught as an exception. Your aptitude and intelligence are unparalleled in my life. When I asked you to be a servant and an elder, was it because you were blind and allowed Puyu not to polish it? My third junior brother is really lucky. You can come to me any time in the future, and I will personally pass on your Wudang swordsmanship. Lu Heng nodded and arched his hand, saying, Thank you very much for your praise, disciple. I'm not worthy of it. Qing Feng, take him to the inner hall to collect his clothes and sword, and inform him of some internal rules. I need to go out. Remember to treat your junior brother Lu well. After speaking, Lianzhou quickly left the inner hall and back hall. Suddenly realizing this good seedling, he had to tell the master brother how to deal with it. Moreover, Wudang swordsmanship is easy to learn, and he has only seen it in his master Zhang Sanfeng when he reaches the level of Lu Heng. If the qualifications truly meet all the requirements, Wudang will also do its best to cultivate them, and it is necessary to discuss with other martial brothers. Lu Heng naturally did not know Lianzhou's thoughts. Senior brother Qing Feng, thank you for maintaining the situation just now. If you have anything to do in the future, you can come to Sunju to find me. Putting on the attire of an inner disciple and taking a sword, Lu Heng didn't seem like a Taoist, but rather like an extraordinary and elegant young master of the turbid world. With the recommendation of Lianzhou, Qing Feng dared not underestimate Lu Heng, especially since he was the only disciple of the inner sect just now, witnessing the perfect completion of the 13 swords of the divine sect. Even his master couldn't stop praising him and wanted to dig a corner. He chuckled and said, Junior brother Lu Heng will definitely develop in the future, and we won't ask for much. As long as you can give me some guidance, Qing Feng will be satisfied. It's easy to say, as long as it's within the rules of the sect, I won't be stingy. Senior brother, please go back. I also need to go to the miscellaneous disciples' residence to retrieve my burden. It's okay, there are other disciples supporting me in the inner hall. I'll go with junior brother Lu, and the master has asked me to take care of him. Naturally, I won't brush off the master's wishes. This is also good. On weekdays, Lu Heng was often troubled by miscellaneous workers. Although he joined the inner sect, there were also factions and competitions among his fellow sections. The clear breeze can represent the 2 masters in the one clan, representing the majesty of the inner hall. Leaving the status of a miscellaneous worker one step earlier and becoming an inner disciple is equivalent to 6 years earlier than them, and the distinction between clouds and mud has become a fixed number. Oh, isn't this Lu Dashan? He stole a whole body of skin and sword from somewhere. You haven't gone to work as a laborer today, and you still want to eat. The butler of the miscellaneous service hall smiled inwardly. Accompanied by a group of henchmen, Gao Ming was also among them. Lu Heng has not spoken yet. Qing Feng didn't want to, turned around and snorted coldly, Who am I? I turned out to be junior brother Lu, just an external steward. Do you really consider yourself an uncle? This is the miscellaneous hall of Wudang sect, not the place where your little Lu family can act recklessly. Junior brother Lu is already a disciple of the inner sect. I see who dares to cause trouble. Do you want to lower the rank of Kushang? Senior brother Qing Feng, why are you here? I didn't bully, I bullied junior brother Lu. What are you talking about, calling it senior brother Lu? Are you so foolish? Senior brother Qing Feng, there's no need to get angry. I'm just coming back to pick up something, and there's no need to make any mistakes. What junior brother Lu said is that I have heard of the chaos in the miscellaneous service hall for a long time. Today, I have gained a lot of knowledge. Even a mere external sect steward dares to obstruct internal sect affairs. I think it is necessary to inform the master and the leader. Do you think so, junior brother Lu? To be continued, recommend a friend's new book and work, Slaying the Gods at the Beginning, Discovering the Existence of Demons in the World, end of this chapter. Chapter 4. 6 Heroes Gather at the Zhenwu Hall. Recommended. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. 6 Heroes Gather at the Zhenwu Hall. Recommended. Lu Fengxi swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and the miscellaneous disciples around him looked at their former disciples standing next to Qing Feng with envy and jealousy. Everyone knows that Lu Heng is a disciple of Yu Daiyan. But I didn't expect to become a full-time employee so quickly. Seeing Qing Feng's posture, it seems that he is going to trouble Director Lu, and many servants are watching the excitement. Senior brother Qing Feng and senior brother Lu, it's my fault for being so narrow-minded. Please don't have the same view as me and let me go like a fart. Qing Feng is nothing. But behind Qing Feng stood Yu Lianzhou. The saying goes that county officials are better managed now. The elder of the inner hall, who is also the senior brother of Yu Daiyan, has a close relationship with the 2 Yu in Wudang. If he really wants to report to the leader, his small deacon may become useless. Lu Heng waved his hand and said, Director Lu, can we move aside? I need to go and retrieve my things. Please, senior brother Lu, if you don't hurry up and make way for me, we can't afford to delay senior brother Lu's important matters. Qing Feng didn't expect that Lu Heng didn't have the same understanding as him. Recalling the upright 13 swords of the divine sect, he shook his head at Lu Fengxi and said, You missed the good opportunity to hold your thigh. In a few days, you will know that you have offended not only third martial uncle. Senior brother Qing Feng, please give me some good words. This is my half-year savings. Please don't report it to the leader. You haven't realized where you're wrong yet, you're really a hammer. Qing Feng interrupted Lu Fengxi's words and stood outside the miscellaneous hall, waiting for Lu Heng. Senior brother, it's already installed. Let's go. Okay, junior brother, you should come to the inner hall frequently in the future and get closer. While speaking, Mo Qixia, Mo Xinggu, and Yin Liuxia, Yin Lighting, hurriedly walked towards the miscellaneous hall. When they saw the breeze, they waved their hands and asked, Who is Lu Heng? The leader is here. Lu Heng was taken aback. Mo Xinggu pointed to him and said with a smile, Brother Lu, what's going on so urgently? I didn't answer your question just now. This is not a place to talk, you all step back. Lu Heng, right. The leader asked you to go to the Zhenwu Hall. Yin Lighting didn't say anything, and Mo Xinggu didn't feel embarrassed to ask again. He had to guard Lu Heng's side, and Qing Feng was a bit nervous. However, seeing the two of them smiling, he didn't dare to ask further and had to watch as the 2 martial uncles left. Lu Fengxi thought that Lu Heng had made a mistake, so he straightened up and said with a squeeze, Senior brother Qing Feng, you can't judge people. Yin Liuxia and Mo Qixia appeared and arrested an inner disciple. TSK. I say you're stupid, but you don't believe it yet. Let's wait and see. I, junior brother Lu, can be considered lucky. Do you know what my master said? Forget it, it's no use telling you, it's scattered. Qing Feng returned to the inner hall with his hands behind his back to report. He is not worried about whether Lu Heng will be punished. As a third-generation disciple of Wudang, who knows, Lu Heng is now the disciple of Yuanqiao, and his identity is the same as theirs. A life and death of an inner disciple cannot be commented upon by an ordinary miscellaneous disciple. Qing Feng is not foolish, probably related to his master Lianzhou's hasty departure. He has a premonition that Lu Heng will have great luck. Inside the Zhenwu Hall, the Song Yuan Bridge stands in place, surrounded by Yu Lianzhou and Zhang Songxi. Yu Daiyan was inexplicably pushed here, knowing nothing. I thought something big happened in Wudang. Seeing Mo Xinggu and Yin Lighting, he brought his precious disciple to the Zhenwu Hall with a hint of doubt. Senior brother leader, a few senior brothers, Lu Heng has brought them. After Yin Lighting finished speaking, he stood aside and looked at the young three-generation disciple with a hint of depth. Tuer, have you done something bad to make your second senior uncle angry? How could you have alarmed the headmaster senior brother? No, it's not like that. It's me who discovered a peerless genius and stayed under your sect, which is why I reported it to the leader for judgment. A peerless genius, are you talking about this kid? He doesn't look like him. Mo Xinggu was a bit surprised. He was considered a peerless genius by his second senior brother. How could he possibly be a third-generation ordinary worker disciple who usually doesn't show off his skills? You should know, he thought last night that Lu Heng was sick, so he gave a word of encouragement. Seeing that Lu Heng was unwilling to switch sides and join his sect, he still felt a bit unhappy. Yu Lianzhou laughed and said, Lu Heng, please play the 13 swords of the Divine Gate and give your senior uncles some practice and feedback. Shenmen 13 swords, that's not a swordsmanship that only true disciples have the opportunity to learn after 5 years of cultivation. Second senior brother, are you joking? This statement was unanimously opposed. Yu Lianzhou said to Lu Heng, don't worry about them, let's start practicing martial arts. Along the way, Lu Heng had already guessed what it meant. Seeing such a large formation, he knew that his intelligence might have been misunderstood by Yu Lianzhou. But this is also an opportunity for improvement. Lu Heng is impolite. Don't take it amiss, senior uncles or uncles. If you have any questions, please correct them. Drawing out his sword, Lu Heng practiced his moves in the main hall, combining them like a wild horse in the air. He didn't start practicing from the first move, but rather casually combined them. Seemingly chaotic, but it gives them a refreshing and eye-catching feeling. After the end, Yu Lianzhou clapped her hands and smiled, don't you still understand? I just rehearsed it in front of this kid and he perfectly remembered it. Do you know how long it took him to learn this sword technique and complete the remaining sword techniques that even his master didn't complete? It's just less than a stick of incense. I can't wait for my senior uncle's praise. Lu Heng is panicked and makes you laugh. No, I say you're a genius, you're a genius. Yu Lianzhou became stubborn and couldn't even pull the 9 cows back. Song Yuanqiao glanced at Lu Heng for a moment and nodded, saying, after all, he hasn't practiced yet and doesn't have internal power. But when this swordsmanship is in his hands, even if he doesn't have internal power, ordinary third-rate experts won't be able to penetrate him. This has exceeded expectations. Do third junior brother have any ideas? A few senior brothers, I'm a bit skeptical. Let's each practice a set of martial arts skills and let this kid try and see if he can learn it at a glance. Mo Xinggu jumped out to stop, but it made Lu Heng's eyes light up. This is not rushing to give him martial arts skills. Seventh martial uncle is really a good person, understanding people's hearts. Yu Daiyan has not yet reacted. Yin Lighting praised, junior brother is right. If he is really a gift from heaven to Wudang, we might as well make the decision and let the eldest senior brother take over the apprenticeship on behalf of the master. Perhaps there is a 100-year-old gift for the master to pass. Lu Heng was tempted. It's not that he doesn't value his status and identity. If he could apprentice Zhang Sanfeng, Lu Heng would definitely hesitate. For him, having a master is not important, as having a system is enough. Song Yuanqiao glared at Yin Lighting and said kindly, what do you think of Lu Heng? I am willing, please instruct all senior uncles and mentors, and I will try my best to observe and learn. Third junior brother, what do you mean? Yu Daiyan regained his composure and looked closely at Lu Heng for a while before nodding with a smile and saying, I, as a useless person, will not delay the inheritance of Wudang. If Lu Heng really has this ability, it means that there is no master-disciple relationship between us. He stayed by my side for 2 years and I haven't noticed it. It seems that even my moves have failed. Lu Heng, don't let my fellow disciples down. People compete for a breath and Buddha receives a stick of incense. If you really have such talent, you should shine brightly and not hide it. To be continued, recommend a friend's new book and work, Slaying the Gods at the Beginning, Discovering the Existence of Demons in the World, end of this chapter. Chapter 5. Song Yuanqiao wants to accept his apprentices on his behalf. Seeking collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Song Yuanqiao wants to accept his apprentices on his behalf. Seeking collection. Mo Xinggu is the youngest, but only 6 or 7 years older than Lu Heng. After touching the Ba Zi Hu, he stood up and said, Wudang's martial arts are vast and profound. The one I am most familiar with in Mo Xing Valley is this Wudang fist palm. Watch carefully. A set of 8 trigrams dragon palm, knocked out by Mo Xing Valley, exudes power with a graceful and eerie gait. The other senior brothers couldn't help but exclaim, the 7th junior brother's palm technique already has the essence of gossip, which is rare and rare. Even if we end up, we may not have such skill. But this set of palm techniques is exceptionally exquisite. How could Lu Heng learn it so quickly? Not necessarily, the 13 swords of the divine gate. Even the master spent more than 10 years to complete the moves. This kid can use them so skillfully. Can't we compare to a disciple? Take a good look, study hard. Why did Lu Heng close his eyes? Little did they know. At this moment, Lu Heng once again fell into a mysterious situation. The Mo Xinggu in his mind is engraved with every move in his heart. You carefully observe the martial arts performance of Mo Xing Valley, stimulate your full-level understanding, comprehend the 8 trigrams of dragon palm, and automatically deduce it to perfection. You carefully observe the teachings of Mo Xing Valley, stimulate full-level understanding, create your own Bagua dragon steps, and automatically deduce them to perfection. Note: pairing Bagua dragon steps with palm techniques can increase palm power by 50% and automatically complete weaknesses. Lu Heng suddenly opened his eyes. Everyone could see an impossible thing from Lu Heng's state. Did this kid suddenly realize? Master, only the 5th younger brother has experienced this kind of enlightenment before. It seems that Wudang is about to produce demons again. Song Yuanqiao and Yu Lianzhou exchanged a glance, both unable to conceal their astonishment. No need to remind. Lu Heng jumped to the side of Mo Xing Valley and surprisingly played the same 8 trigrams dragon palm, even more rounded than Mo Xing Valley's palm technique, with a hint of Tai Chi 8 trigrams rhythm. Okay, he is indeed a genius boy. Apart from Brother Wu, no one in Mo Xing Valley is convinced. Today, I will convince you. Mo Xinggu did not feel embarrassed, but instead was upright and upright. As the most outstanding disciple among the 3 generations, Song Qingshu took at least 3 months to barely learn this set of Bagua Yulong palm. It is impossible to be surpassed in an instant by a younger generation. But the fact is before our eyes. Everyone couldn't help but sigh. Especially Yu Daiyan, he felt even more ashamed. It seems as if delaying Lu Heng for 2 years was an unforgivable mistake. Brother Lu, come here. Yin Lighting stepped down and looked faintly at Lu Heng, saying, I am one of the 7 heroes of Wudang, with the best lightness skills. You can take good care of this Wudang ladder cloud vertical. I will only say the mnemonic once. Yin Lighting's words were light and fast. Standing beside him, Lu Heng couldn't help feeling a bit nervous, but fortunately he finished reading without missing a word. Watching Yin Lighting jump onto the beam like ascending to the sky in 3 or 2 steps. Lu Heng shook his head. What, can't you learn? No, I don't have much internal strength. Lu Heng shrugged his shoulders. The others laughed heartily and said, this is also true. Without internal energy stimulation, lightness skills naturally cannot be used, Just as Lu Heng suddenly used the ladder cloud vertical, he couldn't help but wonder and look at the young disciple standing next to Yin Lighting. Just a moment ago. There are hints in my mind again. Listen carefully to Yin Lighting's teaching of lightness skills, stimulate full-level understanding, comprehend Wudang's lightness skill ladder cloud vertical, and automatically deduce it successfully. It is indeed a very unique lightness skill, whether climbing walls or trees to escape, it is a masterpiece. By learning lightness skills, Lu Heng can accomplish things that ordinary people cannot. Although using a crossbeam, it can also be considered a ladder cloud vertical. Yin Lighting was a bit stunned and said, you don't have internal power. How can you use this lightness skill? Actually, yesterday master you had already passed on the beginner's internal mental skill to my sect. The disciple was lucky enough to cultivate internal power and just received the training and teaching from the 6th senior uncle. The disciple was lucky enough to give it a try and have already learned this lightness skill. Lu Heng's explanation stunned the other Wudang experts. Seeing that Lu Hengnen could make it impossible, Yin Lighting shook his head and laughed. He jumped off the crossbar and said, this son has a higher talent than us. I suggest that you ask the master to go out and personally teach us. Our brothers may delay their talent. A martial arts genius must be a martial arts genius. Next, Zhang Songxi and Song Yuanqiao did not come to an end. Whether it was the 8 trigrams dragon palm technique or the Wudang ladder cloud vertical, they were not disciples of Wudang who could learn them personally. It would take at least 1 or 2 years to reach the level of Lu Heng. Going through the drill will only add to the laughing stock. The senior brothers exchanged a glance at each other, and Song Yuanqiao spoke up, now that my master is in seclusion and has not yet left, Song Yuanqiao will be in charge of collecting disciples on behalf of the master. From this moment on, you will be the 8th second-generation disciple of Wudang. Would you be willing to kowtow and pay homage to the master when the master leaves the seclusion? Yu Daiyan had a hint of melancholy, but he said seriously to Lu Heng, senior brother, you're right. You've taken care of me for 2 years, and I've never noticed that you have such talent. I'm ashamed. In order not to harm my children, Lu Heng, please agree to senior brother. Mo Xinggu, Yin Lighting, Zhang Songxi, and Yu Lianzhou also nodded in response and said, Lu Heng, this is the most suitable practice for Wudang. Since your master said so, we also believe that he will recognize it after passing the level. Don't worry. Within a day, there was a significant change in identity. The promotion of 3rd-generation disciples to 2nd-generation disciples is also an unheard-of event in Wudang. It is necessary to notify all parties and ask Zhang Sanfeng to leave the customs to make the decision. But Zhang Sanfeng closed his door and practiced Tai Chi, so Song Yuanqiao naturally didn't dare to disturb him, so it was completely feasible to recruit disciples as a substitute teacher. Thank you all for your care, senior brothers. Lu Heng pays respects to several senior brothers. Okay, it's a pity that senior brother Wu is no longer here. If you know me, Wudang's 7 heroes, and fill in 1 more hero, it will definitely come to light. Taking the incense and bowing 3 times before the statue of Emperor Zhenwu, this is considered the completion of the preliminary ceremony. From this moment on, Lu Heng was not an inner disciple, but a 2nd-generation true disciple. There were only 3 generations of Wudang people, and in the future, Lu Heng could definitely walk horizontally in Wudang. Senior brother, 2nd senior brother, 3rd senior brother, 4th senior brother, 6th senior brother, 7th senior brother, I will take 3rd senior brother back to his residence first, and let me take care of him for now. A few people exchanged glances, and Song Yuanqiao nodded and said, 8th junior brother is kind-hearted. You can take care of 3rd junior brother, and we are all at ease. Tomorrow, you can go to the Sutra Hall on your own and find my Wudang secret book. This is the master's decree I have prepared for you. Yes, junior brother. Tomorrow, I will send someone to deliver the clothes to the third junior brother. If you want to learn martial arts with that senior brother in the future, just go find them yourself. The meaning of Lianzhou is also free range. After all, with such high intelligence and talent, if we can cultivate higher disciples for Wudang, their faces will also shine. When Zhang Sanfeng leaves the stage, there will also be a saying. Lu Heng nodded, although he still felt a bit uncomfortable. He pushed Yu Dian's mechanism car and left the Zhenwu hall early. 8th junior brother, your family is also local, right? After 2 years in Wudang, have you ever considered going home to visit your family? Return to your residence. After supporting Yu Dian to lie down, Yu Lianzhou asked softly. Lu Heng was taken aback for a moment, shook his head with a bitter smile, and said, my parents sent me to Wudang Mountain to become a Taoist. The dust has long dissipated, and there are still 2 older brothers in my family. How would anyone care about me? In the future, Wudang will be my home, and a few senior brothers will be my family. Yu Dian nodded, he could tell that everything Lu Heng said was true. Although I haven't had much conversation with him, I was able to take care of him day after day for 2 years. I thought I could be the successor of the inheritance, but I never expected to become my junior brother. Make him feel somewhat uncomfortable. Senior brother, don't think too much. First, go to the next door to meditate. If you have anything to do, just give an order. To be continued, recommend a friend's new book and work, Slaying the Gods at the Beginning, Discovering the Existence of Demons in the World, everyone collect it. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Is that gold always shines? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 is that gold always shines. Lu Heng walked out of his residence and glanced at the moonlight in the sky. He didn't expect it. Song Yuanqiao and his disciples will take over the apprenticeship and make him the 8th-ranked second-generation disciple of Wudang. That is to say, from now on. Even Song Qingshu would bow to him and call out, Little Master Uncle. Go back first and see the new gains of the past 2 days. Wudang 8 heroes, it doesn't sound good. For now, there's not much to think about. Becoming a second-generation disciple actually has the advantage of being able to select a few miscellaneous disciples for oneself to drive. I was still a miscellaneous worker the day before yesterday. But now it has transformed into a true legend of Wudang sect, and even has the opportunity to go home and visit relatives. For now, Lu Heng doesn't want to see any parents. He is a traveler who has not absorbed the memories of his original owner, but has only taken over his body and reputation. The past and dust have all dissipated. The ups and downs still depend on the present. I had the most peaceful sleep ever. After waking up, the sound of a gentle breeze knocking on the door came from outside. Uncle Lu Heng, have you got up yet? Open the door. Lu Heng smiled and said, Qing Feng, why did you come so early? It was second senior brother who sent you to deliver clothes. It happened that you should take this set of inner disciple costumes and return them. Qing Feng was somewhat surprised. Yesterday, when my master talked about this, he tossed and turned and couldn't sleep well. I saw Yin Lighting and Mo Xinggu coming together to search for Lu Heng in the miscellaneous service hall. I thought Lu Heng would receive guidance from the 7 heroes of Wudang from now on. Unexpectedly, the leader made an exception and was promoted to become the fastest promoted elder in the history of Wudang sect, saving at least 20 years. Little martial uncle, don't let me down. This is the blue shirt and gossip Taoist robe that my master asked me to give you. This is the spare Taoist robe from 5th martial uncle, and I will bring it to you for use. The inner hall is still customizing other Taoist robes. Just the sword requires you to personally go to the Sword Casting Valley to forge it. Sword Casting Valley is a subsidiary force of Wudang, located on the side of the 5 old peaks. If you want to go, I can take you to take a look. Lu Heng has no such thoughts for the time being. What he most wants to do is to go to the Sutra Hall and see how many martial arts secret books are suitable for him to practice in Wudang. Forget it, it's not urgent. Let's talk when we have time. Lu Heng put on his clothes and looked a bit energetic. The blue shirt is a gossip Taoist robe, tied up in a bun. If it weren't for it, it still has some youthful and childish energy, with a majestic vitality. Yu Daiyan is still resting. The two only glanced at each other, then went to the Zhenwu Palace Square for martial arts practice and morning classes. Just arrived in front of the main hall. But a group of 3 generations of inner disciples looked at Lu Heng in surprise. Some fellow disciples who are familiar with Qing Feng rushed over to inquire. Junior brother Qing Feng, is this? Why are you wearing the second generation blue shirt and Taoist robe? Is it because the Grand Master has taken in another disciple? Senior brother Qing Feng, please tell us more. Lu Heng ignored him and pushed open the gate of the Zhenwu Hall to meet his senior brother Song Yuanqiao. And inside the Zhenwu Hall, I saw a familiar figure behind me. Qing Shu, how many times have I told you that you still need polishing now? I won't let you go down the mountain for now, it's for your own good. Father, I really want to go out and explore. Just give me a chance. I haven't had the chance to leave Wudang in all these years, and I don't want to be a caged bird. Cough cough, senior brother leader, have you been disturbed? Song Yuanqiao smiled when he saw Lu Heng. Song Qingshu was slightly surprised and said, Junior brother Lu, what are you doing? Stinky kid, why don't you pay homage to your junior martial uncle Lu Heng? Didn't I tell you yesterday that you forgot so quickly? Song Qing's written expression was complex, and he said helplessly, Qingshu, pay respects to junior uncle. I didn't expect to see you for 2 days, and junior brother will become senior uncle. It's all the admiration of my senior brother and a few senior brothers. I'm still far behind. My nephew is different from me and comes from the outside world. He has always lived in Wudang Mountain and naturally desires to see the scenery outside. He also needs experience. How can we see a rainbow without wind and rain? What do senior brothers think? Alright, Qingshu. In 2 more years, for the sake of your junior martial uncle, when your Grand Master's 100th birthday passes, I will no longer restrict you from wandering around. If you have the qualifications and talents of junior brother Lu Heng, I will naturally not stop you. Seriously, I can go out of the mountain now, right? Thank you, Dad, thank you, junior uncle. To put it simply, Song Qingshu is just a teenager with immature thoughts. Staying in Wudang Mountain is not what he wants. On the contrary, it was Song Yuanqiao who had been trapped by him that triggered the rebellious mentality of the young man. Say hello. Lu Heng took a decree for the passage of the Sutra Pavilion from Song Yuanqiao's hand, and when he walked out of the Zhenwu Hall, Song Qingshu was still waiting for him outside. Junior uncle, thank you for pleading for me just now. I really want to go out and explore, and I also want to reach the heights of my father and senior uncle. It's okay, anyway, you will become the leader among the 3 generations of disciples in the future, the successor leader, and it's good to go out early to gain more knowledge. Just think of it as me apologizing for your past grievances. Lu Heng can't really explain his thoughts on Song Qingshu. He knew very well that when Song Qingshu met Zhou Zhirua in the future, he would transform into a licking dog. When he met Zhang Wuji, he was jealous that he could get the favor of Zhang Sanfeng, which led to his blackened judgment of Wudang. Simply put, he was spoiled by Song Yuanqiao, and the road became narrower and narrower as he walked. At least the current Song Qingshu is relatively just in his character, and he mostly acts chivalrous and righteous through his second-generation disciples, which has influenced his ears and eyes. But what sounds like it doesn't have the truth that comes from practice. Lu Heng stretched lazily and said, let's go to the Zhaitang for breakfast. If you have nothing else to do, come with me to the scripture hall later. Song Qingshu didn't think much and was still immersed in the joy of being able to go out, unable to extricate himself. Nature readily agreed. Almost everyone in Wudang, both the inner and outer gates, as well as the miscellaneous service hall, have been informed of the latest news by flaunting their presence in the market. Originally just a disciple of Yu Daiyan, the result was only a day of change. Lu Heng rose from a grassroots to become the 8th martial arts hero of Wudang, and among the second-generation disciples, he was also the fastest and most incredible to be promoted. The words spoken by Qin Feng are becoming increasingly outrageous as they spread. These are all things that Lu Heng doesn't care about. Xiaoheng, why are you here today when you have time? Don't you have to take care of your master? The first-level guardian of the scriptures, Lu Yuan, looked at him with a hint of doubt, and then saw Song Qingshu. He quickly said with a smile, Qingshu, are you also here to read? You haven't been here for most of the year, have you? Song Qingshu smiled bitterly and said, Elder Lu, today I am sending Uncle Lu Heng to the 3rd level to borrow and select Wudang martial arts. Please don't harm me. My father is very strict in his daily management, so there is no such leisure time to pay respects to the elder. Uncle Lu Heng. Lu Yuan widened his eyes and carefully examined, only to discover that what Lu Heng was wearing was the unique blue gossip robe of the second-generation disciples, which made him somewhat pleased. As a child of the Lu family, he also hoped that Lu Heng could be taken in by Yu Daiyan. However, he did not expect that Lu Heng would transform and become the head disciple, as well as Zhang Sanfeng's junior apprentice. My father took over the apprenticeship on behalf of the teacher yesterday, and only then did I have a young master. Now, this is a decree written by my father himself. Can Elder Lu release it? Song Qingshu knew very well that Lu Yuan was particularly concerned about rules, so he dared not offend himself. It is said that Lu Yuan was once saved by his Grand Master Zhang Sanfeng. When he took over Wudang Mountain, the Lu family also made efforts to teach him some martial arts, which was an exception. Although not a disciple, he is the first person in Wudang who is not a second-generation disciple but has become an elder. Good thing, good thing. Since Lu Heng has such an opportunity, I'm happy. But don't hate your father and aunt. I'll treat you to tea when I come down later. Let's go upstairs first. Thank you very much, Elder Lu. Let's go up, junior uncle. To be continued, end of this chapter. Chapter 7. Deduces the Nine Yin Manual, and Zhang Sanfeng leaves the pass. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 7 deduces the Nine Yin Manual, and Zhang Sanfeng leaves the pass. Present the edict. The gatekeeper naturally did not stop the two people. I went up to the 2nd floor. Song Qingshu proudly said, Junior Martial Uncle, these 2 levels are all copies of martial arts secret scripts collected by the Grand Master and his elders who have devoted themselves to chivalry in recent years. According to the 3 generations of inner disciples, one can be selected as a reference for cultivation when starting out. Some of these martial arts are very exquisite, and our sect does not restrict learning martial arts in the martial arts world, as a way of learning by analogy. Junior uncle, I think we should go to the 3rd floor first and learn our internal skills. Song Qingshu learned from Song Yuanqiao that Lu Heng had extremely high talent and intelligence. He learned martial arts skills at a glance, which shocked and envied him greatly. But he has been practicing internal skills since childhood. Although he is only 14 years old this year, he already possesses second-rate martial arts skills in the martial arts world. The internal strength has also been condensed for nearly 30 years, and the qualifications are also outstanding among the 3 generations of disciples. But compared to the cheating Lu Heng, I really can't compare. He didn't know that Lu Heng had now reached the level of a first-class expert, and even his internal strength had accumulated a dozen. I learned the Nine Yin Manual. My nephew is right. Our martial arts are extensive and profound, and our master has created them step by step to achieve great success. However, the stones of the mountains can be used to attack jade, and it is not wrong to learn more about ordinary martial arts in the martial arts world. If there is a chance, we can go out and experience it together. Hee, senior uncle, I'm glad you said that. However, there is no father's command on the 3rd floor, so I can't pass. I'll wait for you on the 2nd floor. If you haven't come out, I'll go back later. Lu Heng didn't understand what Song Qingshu meant for a while. But Song Qingshu gave him a mysterious smile and didn't explain, so he sat down and picked up a secret book to casually read. Shake your head. Lu Heng handed in the edict, and after being flipped through, the guard was slightly surprised and said, "This young second-generation disciple has never heard of the leader before." Song Qingshu waved his hand and said, "The 2 deacons, the young master uncle, was promoted to the 2nd-generation disciple by his father yesterday as a substitute teacher. I testify to this for him." The son of the sect leader was by his side, and there was a sect leader's decree. The 2 exchanged a glance and allowed him to pass directly. There are only 2 rows of bookshelves on the 3rd floor. There are not many classics, but they contain the most precious books of the Wudang sect. And on one side, there is a prepared quiet room. Lu Heng swallowed his saliva and eagerly picked up a book, flipping through it. Close your eyes and comprehend the true meaning behind it. You study Wudang mental skills seriously, stimulate full-level understanding, comprehend the 9 Yin Manual, and automatically deduce it perfectly. The maximum internal power has been increased by 30 years. You study Wudang fist seriously, stimulate your full level of understanding, comprehend the infinite Xiangong fist, and automatically deduce it to perfection. You study Wudang martial arts seriously, stimulate your full level understanding, comprehend the tiger claw Ju Hu hand, and automatically deduce successfully. You study Wudang swordsmanship seriously, stimulate your full level understanding, comprehend the soft cloud swordsmanship, and automatically deduce it to perfection. Ding! You have learned more than 4 times today, please continue practicing tomorrow. The next reading will not trigger it. Lu Heng is quite satisfied. 4 sets of secret books, including Wudang's mind techniques, fist techniques, palm techniques, and sword techniques, are enough to ensure that he does not lack martial arts skills. But I didn't expect to learn the 9 Yin Manual of Wudang only, and then deduce it. This is a big profit. Nowadays, he has learned all the 9 Yin and 9 Yang skills. Although he doesn't know how to plan his future realm, Lu Heng feels that he should have already given birth to the 2nd generation of Wudang's top expert Yu Lianzhou in terms of internal power. You should know that ordinary beginner mental skills only bring him a 10-year maximum internal power. Advanced techniques such as Zhenwu turtle breathing technique only broaden the channels. On the contrary, the 9 Yin Manual and the 9 Yang Manual are top-level skills. Once you learn the system, you will be given a 30-year maximum internal power. The internal power derived from the 9 Yang Manual is extremely fast. Now it is only a matter of time before the energy channels are full of internal power. For a moment, Lu Heng felt warm all over, as if soaking in a hot spring. Without saying a word. Sitting cross-legged directly in the quiet room on the 3rd floor. First practice the 9 Yin Manual, and then practice the 9 Yang Manual. Time seems to pause, yet it seems to be ignored. Lu Heng closed his eyes and remained motionless, only to be awakened by the sound of hurried footsteps in his ear. Oh my goodness, junior brother Ba has been secluded in this scripture hall for over half a month, and you finally woke up. Song Yuanqiao, Yu Lianzhou, Zhang Songxi, Yin Lighting, and Mo Xinggu are all present. Lu Heng said in confusion, how many senior brothers are you? Qing Shu came back and told me that you were in seclusion at the Sutra Hall. We thought you could stay in seclusion for 2 or 3 days, but we didn't expect you to leave for 7 consecutive days. Master has left the seclusion and wants to see you. Song Yuanqiao was about to pull up Lu Heng, but was thrown away by a powerful internal force. The other 4 people were stunned on the spot. Senior brother, you. Very strong internal power, 8th junior brother. You have opened up the Ren and Du meridians. Why has your skill increased so much? For a moment, I forgot to hide the Zhenwu turtle breathing technique. The 9 Yin and 9 Yang converge, with enough power to instantly kill any enemy. That's the internal strength of nearly 100 years. Although not actively triggered, it also forms an external true qi shield. Song Yuanqiao stood up and was even more shocked, saying, at least he has a level of martial arts skills. Maybe 8th junior brother has a chance encounter. Hesitated for a moment. Lu Heng smiled and said, I saw Wudang Jiuyang Gong and felt it. In addition to what my master had written, I also gained some personal insights. I didn't expect that I had been practicing in seclusion for more than half a month and almost injured the leader just now. It's really a sin. Wudang's Jiuyang skill, which has been improved, will become the Nine Yin Manual. It is said that Master Zhu Yuan of Shaolin Temple, the master of the master, the female Xiaogua Xiang and Shaolin's colorless Zen master passed down in those years, which led to the loss of the Jiuyang skill. One of them was taken away by each other, forming Shaolin's Jiuyang skill. Wudang's Jiuyang skill and Amei's Jiuyang skill. This is also the reason why our three sects have had a long-standing feud for many years, making the master and Shaolin feud. Song Yuanqiao followed Zhang Sanfeng for the longest time. His words were no less than laying a giant stone in a calm pond. After looking at each other, the other martial brothers also had an indescribable surprise in their expressions. After all, they all have a clear idea of the power of the 9 Yang Gong. If it can really be passed down, Wudang can definitely go further. This is also Zhang Sanfeng's lifelong wish. Hurry up, junior brother, come with me. Let's go to the back mountain to meet master. Song Yuanqiao couldn't think too much. But they didn't pull him up either, and the group hurriedly left the scripture hall, even ignoring Lu Yuan's approach. Inexplicably feeling a bit helpless. Lu Heng just glanced at him apologetically. Inside the secluded cave in the back mountain, this is the place where Zhang Sanfeng closed himself. 7 days ago, Zhang Sanfeng had been comprehending Tai Chi for several days and directly passed the level, bringing the whole Wudang together. Song Yuanqiao originally wanted to take Lu Heng to pay his respects, but the guard of the sutra hall said that Lu Heng was in seclusion and had not left. He didn't care if it would affect him, so he came up to find him. Unexpectedly, he was both surprised and delighted to receive this news. Student Song Yuanqiao, Yu Lianzhou, Zhang Songxi, Yin Lighting, Mo Xinggu, pay respects to their master. They are all from our own family, there's no need to be polite. Come in. You are Lu Heng, who looks like a good martial arts practitioner. Your eyebrows are clear, your eyes are beautiful, and your bones are exquisite. When I see you, I think of Tsueshan. Let me take a good look, and you can also sit down at Yuanqiao. To be continued, end of this chapter. Chapter 8. The mischievous old Taoist really knows how to play, sending martial arts techniques to relieve heart knots. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. The mischievous old Taoist really knows how to play, sending martial arts techniques to relieve heart knots. Lu Heng came to Zhang Sanfeng with shyness, unease, curiosity, and admiration. Caught by the old Taoist, but then bounced away by the protective spirit. Song Yuanqiao said with a wry smile, Master, you don't believe what you said. Lu Heng is talented and extremely intelligent. These days, he actually practiced internal skills for the first time. He started from Wudang's Jiuyang skill and performed all the 9 Yin Manual. He closed the door for half a month. His internal power broke through the hallway and opened up Rendu's 2 veins. Other senior brothers have long been struck with suspicion of life along the way. Zhang Sanfeng was greatly surprised to hear it. And he found that he seemed to be able to feel an unprecedented oppression from Lu Heng. This is a feeling he has never experienced in his decades of wandering the world. At the beginning, I only felt it from his master Zhu Yuan and the divine eagle hero Yangguo. There was a moment of silence. Lu Heng shyly said, Master, this is all the 9 yang gong that I have performed on the road. I actually don't know what's going on. Anyway, whether I see others practicing or studying on my own, I can understand some fur. According to my senior brother, Master's 100th birthday is coming soon, so this is considered as a disciple's apprenticeship gift. Song Yuanqiao has a headache. No one would use a set of top-level internal skills as a tribute to their master, even in the martial arts world. It may be unique and groundbreaking. Zhang Sanfeng took the 9 yang gong secret script and after flipping through it, he fell silent. I'm afraid I don't have much to teach you. If you're interested, I'm willing to take in my apprenticeship and make you my junior apprentice. How about that? What is it? This is still playing with a hammer. Song Yuanqiao and others were all dumbfounded. Even Zhang Sanfeng said that he couldn't teach him, and even with a hint of mischief, it made them feel a bit helpless. God knows, it's a blessing or a curse for such a demon to come to Wudang. Lu Heng was confused. I saw Zhang Sanfeng put down the secret script and looked at Lu Heng seriously, saying, your martial arts are not weaker than mine anymore, but they are much stronger than Yuanqiao and they seem to have practiced pure Taoist mental techniques. Am I right? After hesitating for a moment, Lu Heng said, it's something recorded on the first floor of the Sutra Hall, an unnamed Taoist scripture. I learned it inexplicably. The name of the Nine Yin Manual. It's better not to talk about it for the time being. As for the first floor of the Sutra Hall, there are at least thousands of Taoist classics and theories, and no one has any understanding. But Song Yuanqiao believed that before joining Wudang, Lu Heng did not know any martial arts skills. Unexpectedly, my skills have surpassed mine. This leader is also holding back. I have been a sect for decades, and the 9 yang skill has always been a pain in my heart. Junior brother, don't refuse. You can learn Wudang martial arts no matter how you want to learn it. Since my disciple dares to play with this generation of disciples, he. Zhang Sanfeng tilted his eyes towards them, there was something in his words. Let Song Yuanqiao and others sweat profusely, it is obvious that the master is somewhat dissatisfied with their unauthorized decision-making. But if he really answers Zhang Sanfeng's junior brother, then Lu Heng's seniority will be a bit chaotic. You don't have to worry about any other issues. You deduced the 9 yang gong, which is a great contribution that can even affect the martial arts world. When Master Zhuoyuan showed kindness to me and taught me a part of the 9 yang gong, it was the old way I am today. In the future, you will be my junior brother, even if you are Zhang Sanfeng, you can be stubborn. You must not have any objections. Why bother? Lu Heng was willing in his heart, but he felt a bit embarrassed, since Zhang Sanfeng had said so. He is no longer refusing. From the earliest miscellaneous disciples, to the inner disciples, and now to Zhang Sanfeng's junior brother, taking out this generation will also cause a huge uproar in the martial arts world. Song Yuanqiao, you are the leader of Wudang. From now on, junior brother Lu Heng will be one of the Wudang supreme elders. As a teacher, put aside your words. If anyone can still achieve the top-level martial arts that junior brother Lu Heng has contributed to Wudang, he can also become the supreme elder. I'll obey you, disciple. Wudang Song Yuanqiao, bring your junior brothers to pay respects to little master uncle. Please, 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 please. Lu Heng had some claws, just as he pulled up Song Yuanqiao, he knocked him out again. Standing awkwardly in place. Zhang Sanfeng smiled and said, junior brother, you are already able to release your true qi. I believe you will soon break through the pinnacle of the martial arts world. You still cannot freely release it. I will teach you a mnemonic, you can listen carefully. Zhang Sanfeng only said 5 sentences. The shield on Lu Heng's body disappeared. You carefully listen to Professor Zhang Sanfeng's mnemonic mind technique, understand the Taoist Qingxin technique, and automatically deduce it successfully. The maximum internal power has been increased by 10 years. Ding! Congratulations to the host for crossing their physical limits and reaching the pinnacle of the martial arts world. The essence and spirit are complete, and the 3 flowers gather at the top. 1, 2, and 3 flowers inexplicably appeared above Lu Heng's head. Zhang Sanfeng suddenly stood up and said, "The 3 flowers of the Taoist sect gather at the top. Junior brother, he has great skills. He even crossed the first threshold of martial arts and reached 100 years of internal strength. It's strange." The old Taoist was all confused. Song Yuanqiao and others were even more at a loss. It seems that his position as the second martial arts expert in Wudang is about to be handed over. However, regardless, Lu Heng's strength is truly formidable. To put it bluntly, if Zhang Sanfeng were to leave, the guardian of Wudang for 100 years would surely be Lu Heng. Perhaps this is the master's plan. For a moment, Song Yuanqiao also realized. Just for a moment, the 3 flowers on top of my head were hidden. Lu Heng only felt that the 9 yin and 9 yang merged with each other, and the original several different true qi were completely absorbed into a new internal force. This also allowed him to overcome a calamity. If various powerful internal forces in his body collide with each other, sooner or later he will be like Ling Hu Chong, with his meridians completely broken and become useless. Thank you, senior brother, for increasing your skills. I feel much more comfortable now. Lu Heng exhaled an arrow and launched it 10 meters away, breaking through the wall. The great achievement of internal skills, although not yet perfect or innate, possesses innate aggressiveness and defense. The top of the ordinary martial arts world may not necessarily be a match for Lu Heng. Small things, they are all small things. Yuanqiao, please inform the entire sect. I will take over the apprenticeship on behalf of the old Taoist. Starting today, Lu Heng will be the elder of the Supreme Court and my junior brother Zhang Sanfeng. In the future, you should also listen to his words. No need, senior brother. I don't like to take care of things. Why don't you let me stay in the scripture hall? I really like the environment there. Lu Heng quickly mentioned something. Zhang Sanfeng nodded, and Song Yuanqiao also breathed a sigh of relief. This is best. Fortunately, Lu Heng has almost no desire for power. Even if he leaves Wudang now and goes to the martial arts world to explore, half of the major sects in the martial arts world will still have to give face to Zhang Sanfeng. Moreover, Lu Heng's strength and realm are not poor, and he only lacks combat experience. Except for Song Yuanqiao, the mood of the other Wudang's 7 heroes is not very beautiful. Originally, Lu Heng was a junior brother, which may still be acceptable. For some reason, his nephew has now become a senior uncle, and they finally feel the helplessness of Song Qingshu. In terms of seniority in martial arts, those who have been beaten by others are physically and mentally exhausted. What else can they say now? By the way, since junior brother understands the 9 yang technique, why don't you teach them on my behalf? No problem, it's just a small matter, but I need a few nephews to fight against me and improve my practical skills. I don't know what this requires. Also, senior brother, can you teach me? It's not that Lu Heng is drifting. He really thinks so, after all, he can't bully children. As the second expert of Wudang, only Zhang Sanfeng can fight against him. Song Yuanqiao opened his mouth wide without even thinking, and said, Senior uncle, if you want to fight your master, don't take it too hard. Isn't that looking for abuse? Nonsense. Master, look, master is already angry. Let's fight with you. Bastard, I said you, Song Yuanqiao, you are just fooling around. Even if you set up a 7-section array of true martial arts, you are not your uncle's opponent. The Nine Yin Manual combines attack and defense, which is not comparable to Wudang's Zheyang skill. It's not too late to say that. I haven't been active for many years. Since junior brother has this ambition, I naturally want to satisfy you. But if you lose, don't cry, To be continued, end of this chapter. Chapter 9. Fighting and Practicing Martial Arts, Understanding Perfect Tai Chi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Fighting and Practicing Martial Arts, Understanding Perfect Tai Chi. Lu Heng felt a bit ashamed, as his family knew their own affairs. His internal strength is not obtained through cultivation, but since he has activated cheats, Lu Heng also wants to witness some different scenery. Come to the outside of the cave. Song Yuanqiao and others retreated to observe the battle. Even if Zhang Sanfeng stood in front of Lu Heng, he had no flaws to speak of. Junior brother, I have been in seclusion for 6 years and am currently creating a new form of martial arts called Tai Chi. Don't show any mercy later, maybe you can bring me a different experience. There is something in Zhang Sanfeng's words. Lu Heng didn't respond for a moment, just simulating various data during the battle and sparring with Zhang Sanfeng in his mind. Finally, the probability of winning is less than 10%. Senior brother, I will do my best. Okay, let's fight. Zhang Sanfeng used defense instead of attack, and first performed the starting posture of Tai Chi. Lu Heng suddenly recalled some fragments of his past life and smiled a little. Tai Chi. He can do it too. It's just that kind of thing, not the true essence of Tai Chi, but if you want to fool Zhang Sanfeng, you can never tell the truth. Song Yuanqiao and others who watched the battle from afar were also stunned. But then there was a report. With internal strength as the foundation, when using martial arts, the powerful energy collides and produces such astonishing waves of energy. Even Song Yuanqiao had to retreat. Zhang Sanfeng squinted his small eyes and surprisingly took the initiative to attack Lu Heng. The first round is just a probe. Both of them didn't put in their full effort, you come and I go for a long time, pushing back and forth, it's so lively. Zhang Songshi had a slight doubt and asked, is the master asking this martial uncle? Why does this look like playing instead of sparring? You can't tell it's normal, and I can't tell it either, but don't you think they have a unique charm in that central area during the war? Lianzhou seemed to have some enlightenment and said. The other several senior brothers couldn't help but stare wide-eyed. The two punched each other, Zhang Sanfeng took a step back, while Lu Heng took 5 steps back. Good kid, you should have learned from me, but this Tai Chi is not about drawing gourds and ladles, it focuses on artistic conception rather than power, it's like pulling 1,000 pounds in 4 or 2 directions. Senior brother, don't blame me for not reminding you. I have fully understood the true essence of Tai Chi, please teach me, Lu Hengyi said with a smile the moment of stepping back. Although I haven't had time to read the prompts yet. But he has already achieved perfect Tai Chi, even better than Zhang Sanfeng. Impact again. This time it was Zhang Sanfeng's turn to be knocked away. He retreated and retreated, but he didn't have time to stop and was knocked out of the circle. The martial brothers watching from afar, seeing this scene, their chin was about to fall on the ground, looking at each other but realizing the terror in each other's eyes. Master, have you lost? No, they didn't use their internal strength, they just created an artistic conception. Tai Chi and Tai Chi, the 2 E's, give birth to the 4 symbols, and the 4 symbols play the 8 trigrams. Master, you're amazing. Mo Xingu's words have just finished. Lu Heng clasped his palms and clasped his fists, saying, thank you very much, senior brother. I have fully understood Tai Chi. Zhang Sanfeng smiled and nodded, I used to think that among my disciples, only Cuishan could compete with you, but now it seems that Cuishan is not as good as you by a 10th. I have a superb understanding, and the old Taoist admires it. Senior brother, I'm too humble. If it weren't for my senior brother's guidance, I wouldn't have been able to fully control my internal strength, so naturally I wouldn't be the same as I am now. Huh, good kid, it's satisfying and fast enough. The old Taoist is very happy. There is a successor from our Wudang sect, so let's just be honest. Go ahead and arrange for Yuanqiao. Seeing that the two were not injured, they were fortunate enough to surpass their own master during the sparring. The Song Yuanqiao brothers were already impressed and fell to the ground. They actually don't know. It's very easy for Zhang Sanfeng to win against him. Just relying on the internal power of the Yangtze River, it is not something that a rookie like him can withstand. But Zhang Sanfeng just broadcasted the message and asked him to cooperate. At least he had to act for Song Yuanqiao and others, and he regained 50% of his internal strength midway. Otherwise, both of them would be defeated. Looking at each other with a smile, Zhang Sanfeng patted Lu Heng's shoulder and said, "You are very good, especially in your conduct and work, which is even better than martial arts. I will hand over Tai Chi to you, and when accepting apprentices in the future, you must pass it on. I cannot let my Wudang unique martial arts be lost. This is your responsibility as my junior brother. Senior brother, I promise you." Lu Heng looked seriously into the other person's eyes and nodded with great emphasis. Zhang Sanfeng said with satisfaction, "I believe, and I will keep my promise as a gentleman. Unfortunately, I don't know when I will be able to restore the rivers and mountains of our great Han, drive away the barbarians, and restore the mountains and rivers." Lu Heng remained silent. Both Amei and Wudang are considered old friends of the Guo family, especially the grudges between senior brothers and Guoxiang, which have influenced at least a generation. Apart from that, another internal skill that younger martial brother has learned is more like our Taoist Kung Fu. The old Taoist asked, "Is it the Nine Yin Manual?" Hiss. Lu Heng didn't expect to be scolded for breaking through. As he was about to answer, Zhang Sanfeng said with a smile, "I once met Yang Guo, the great hero of the divine sculpture. He also mentioned the characteristics of the Nine Yin Manual. I thought that this kind of martial arts had long been lost, but I didn't expect my junior brother to learn it. You don't need to pass it on to Wudang sect, but you should belong to your own branch." Back then, the Huashan swordsmanship and the Five Wonders dominated the world, which was so refreshing. Unfortunately, in the Battle of Xianyang, Guo Daxia and Lady Guo died on the battlefield, and Yuan Meng seized the mountains and rivers of our Han family. At that time, senior brother, I was only as old as you, and my feelings were not that deep. But over the years, I have never achieved the reputation of Nuo de Ming, nor have I experienced the suffering of the people and the fragmentation of mountains and rivers. As the founder of the Wudang sect, I am powerless to turn this situation around and feel guilty to the ancestors of the Zhang family." Lu Heng was stunned. Zhang Sanfeng explained with a smile, "I am considered a descendant of the Taoist sect. My ancestors were Zhang Daoling, the leader of the Zhengyi sect. As a martial arts sect, Wudang is also considered a branch of the Taoist sect. In the future, when I have free time, I will take you to visit friends. Complete Tai Chi." Zhang Sanfeng was clearly paving the way for Lu Heng, which gave him a slight sense of unease. Talking about Yuan Meng again, is it difficult? Zhang Sanfeng still thought. He dared not continue to think about it. After pondering for a while, he said, "The world has its own ups and downs. As soon as you enter the martial arts world, time will rush. In the midst of the emperor's domineering and humorous talk, you will not disappoint in life's drunkenness. Elder martial brother, there was a grandparent of our Lu family who knew Guo Jing and great Xia Guo. I heard from my grandfather that one of his distant relatives was once a disciple of Peach Blossom Island and Lu Qingfeng of Guiyun village in the Taihu Lake. My grandfather once joked that there is a secret to both the heaven sword and the dragon-slaying saber. Senior brother, do you want to know? Do you know the secrets of the previous dynasty? Let me tell you. Lu Heng is not just a fool, this can be considered traceable. Anyway, it would be more appropriate for Zhang Sanfeng to dispel his intention to confront the Yuan army, at least in this way. Martial arts supreme, sword-slaying dragon. Command the world, no one dares to disobey. Relying on the sky without leaving, who can compete? I once heard that my senior brother created the heaven-reliant dragon-slaying technique with these 24 characters, but you don't know that the sharpness of swords and divine weapons does not entirely mean this, but rather. To be continued, end of this chapter. Chapter 10 Legend. Starting from becoming the Grand Master of Wudang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Legend. Starting from becoming the Grand Master of Wudang, Junior Brother, you're telling me, can you stop showing off to the old Taoist? Zhang Sanfeng's thoughts were interrupted and he walked out of the sorrowful state he had just experienced, curious to look at Lu Heng. Aha, I also overheard my ancestors mention that the dragon-slaying sword and the heaven-reliant sword were both forged by melting the dark iron heavy sword gifted by Yuanqiao. Do you know this, senior brother? I have heard of it, Taoist. Zhang Sanfeng touched his white beard, as if recalling that era of war. The Yuan and Mongols invaded the Central Plains on a large scale, slaughtering the people. The southern Song dynasty retreated again and again, and at that time, Xianyang city was almost the gateway of the previous dynasty. If Xianyang were to be destroyed, the Zhao dynasty would also be powerless to return to heaven. The military, civilians, and martial arts experts of Xianyang city worked together to prevent the invasion of the Yuan and Mongols into the Song dynasty for more than 30 years. They can be called heroes of the martial arts world, unparalleled in chivalry, and serving the country and the people has even influenced later generations. Well, it said that Guo Jing and Huang Rong knew that Xianyang city could not be broken, and they were afraid of losing their unique skills. It contains the Taohua Island family martial arts, the Nine Yin Manual full set of martial arts, 2 unique skills of the Beggar's Sect and the martial arts Wu Mu's suicide note written by General Yu Fei. They hid. Take 2 pieces of black iron fragments and hide them in the heaven-reliant sword and dragon-slaying saber. One day, the swords and knives will fiercely attack each other, shattering the divine weapon. Take out the black iron fragments and combine them into one to find the burial site and extract the secret script. The supreme of the Wulin is about the Nine Yin Manual. It is said that all the 5 wonders are very concerned about this skill, so Huashan Dujian came into being. Lu Heng's words were like a thunderbolt from the sky. Zhang Sanfeng's scalp was tingling with shock, and his doubts dissipated in his heart. Guo Jing and his wife are benevolent and righteous, and they don't want the Central Plains martial arts world to lose its inheritance. Senior brother is right, but it has become increasingly outrageous as it has been passed down by later generations, which is why it has evolved into this. Guo Xian, the female hero, is absolutely aware of this matter and has passed it on to the successive leaders of Ame. In the past, the dragon-slaying saber was entrusted to Guo Pulu for safekeeping, and later passed on to the Beggar's Sect. However, since the Battle of Xianyang, the Beggar's Sect has gradually withdrawn from the top large-scale gang. Yuan Meng, who is now in charge, has no good impression of the Beggar's Sect that once blocked their ancestors. Now, the Beggar's Sect has long since withdrawn from the mainstream. Lu Heng pondered, as if he was familiar with the events of that era. Zhang Sanfeng said with resentment, Junior brother, are you thinking? Wu Mu's testament must be obtained, and we must organize the rebel army to resist Yuan Meng. However, neither you nor I have the ability to govern the country, nor are we familiar with military tactics. If we are fortunate enough to obtain the dragon-slaying sword and the heaven-reliant sword, we can find someone else to entrust. Lu Heng didn't continue, but Zhang Sanfeng understood instantly. The two of them exchanged a glance and could both see the flames burning in each other's eyes. I took over the apprenticeship on behalf of the master, and indeed I received it correctly. After the dragon-slaying saber was taken by the demon sect's golden lion King Xie Sun, I had already lost news and even befriended my disciple Zhang Suishan. There hasn't been any news of him in these years. Has he already been killed? Zhang Sanfeng's words were not taken over by Lu Heng. He knew very well that Zhang Suishan was not dead, but he didn't want to say such unfounded words. With less than 2 years left until Zhang Sanfeng's 100th birthday, there is still some time to stop the 5 major sects from besieging Wudang and forcing the Zhang Suishan couple to death. Since he has become the Grand Tutor of Wudang, Lu Heng naturally hopes that the 7 heroes of Wudang can live neatly, rather than being so depressed or even in the future. But Lu Heng wants to learn some top-level martial arts, step into the martial arts world, and experience different scenery. For this fighting philosophy, he naturally cannot retreat, nor can he retreat. "Master, uncle, everything is ready." Yin Lighting rushed over and shouted in the distance. Lu Heng regained his senses. Zhang Sanfeng stopped his hand and smiled, saying, "Let's go. I also want to regain my authority today," the young supreme elder of Wudang. If this news spreads, the martial arts world still doesn't know how to arrange the old way. Lu Heng rolled his eyes. He completely understood that he had been tricked by Zhang Sanfeng and tied to the chariot of Wudang. Just now, I was just impacted by this news, and I didn't think clearly inside the bureau. This old Taoist is not foolish. Lu Heng has no choice. If he had known earlier, it would have been better to just be a Taoist. It's better to be leisurely every day than being entangled in trivial matters. Arrive in front of the Zhenwu hall. Wudang sect, except for a few deacons in the scripture hall who did not come, nearly 200 other disciples from both the inner and outer gates, as well as disciples from the miscellaneous service hall, were all present. Congratulations to the old master. Farewell to Grand Master. The disciples naturally knelt down, including Song Yuanqiao and others. Only 2 people, Lu Heng and Zhang Sanfeng, can stand on the scene. Everyone is from their own family. Get up. Thank you, Master. The 3rd-generation disciples were a bit confused. When they looked at Lu Heng, their eyes were filled with envy, jealousy, and confusion. Once a fellow disciple, it was only then that I realized that Lu Heng's identity and status had almost changed again and again. When the old Taoist passed the level and discovered that there was a divine being born in our Wudang sect, he was overjoyed in his heart. Zhang Sanfeng took up Lu Heng's hand and smiled heartily, saying, "From today on, Zhang Sanfeng, am willing to take over my apprentices and apprentices. I will take in Lu Heng as my junior brother, and also as the senior elder of Wudang. He will be responsible for managing the scripture collection hall and the merit transmission hall. My disciples and grandchildren, when they see Lu Heng in the future, must replace him with courtesy. If there is any action that undermines his martial arts skills, it may be as light as abolishing them, or as severe as being defined by the law enforcement hall and expelled from the gate wall." 3 generations of disciples, completely stunned on the spot. Song Qingshu was the first to regain his senses and quickly lowered his head, shouting, "See you, Grand Master." The disciples behind me only then realized and cooperated. Lu Heng smiled helplessly and put the ducks on the shelves, which was really Zhang Sanfeng's style. Some disciples must be dissatisfied. Song Yuanqiao coughed and said, "My junior martial uncle has unparalleled intelligence and comprehension. I, the 7 heroes of Wudang, thought I couldn't teach him, so I asked my master to leave the level for evaluation. However, I didn't expect that my master couldn't evaluate me either. He even drew with my junior martial uncle. As the youngest super-level expert in our Wudang sect, I can afford to be the supreme elder." 3 generations of disciples, how could they not know that Zhang Sanfeng is extremely strong? He is a sect master. God knows, Lu Heng can even draw with their admired object, which is beyond the imagination of the Wudang sect. "Junior brother, please take the seal and change your Taoist robe. Incense and pray to Emperor Zhenwu, Lotus Boat. You can send someone to notify the other 5 sects and spread the news. Forced to take the seal and put on the most prestigious Taoist robe of Wudang, from now on, besides Zhang Sanfeng, in the Wudang sect, Lu Heng has the highest rank, and even Song Yuanqiao dare not offend." Hidden in the crowd, Lu Fengxi and others almost scared to death. After half a month without receiving any news from Lu Heng, they thought he had been kicked out of the gate wall. However, to their surprise, Lu Heng flew into the sky. No wonder the Qing phone would spread such a message, it could be said that he was holding on to his golden thigh. The guardian of the Sutra Hall, Lu Yuan, laughed uncontrollably upon hearing this news. He has become an expert in the Lu family. If this news spreads to the martial arts world, it would be surprising. Although I won't write a book or write a biography, it will continue for a long time. Zhang Zhenren from Wudang speaks eloquently. Even if Lu Heng were to face the leader of the same sect, he would still be on an equal footing. In the hall of later transmission of merit, I will be the master and set up contribution points. With my contributions, I can receive my guidance. In a few days, I will select some inner and outer disciples to start assessments and join the hall of transmission of merit. Senior brother and nephew, what do you think of what I did? To be continued, end of this chapter.